Thistle Verse, and today I'm going to be discussing the Heartathon. So the Heartathon is a readathon hosted by the Book Barrel, Read with Bintu, Whiskey on My Kindle, and the BookTube Dude. And it's running for all of August. I don't have the bandwidth to fully participate at this time, but with the limited capacity that I do have, I wanted to try and uplift it in some small way. So I decided that I would do a recommendation video for people who are trying to participate and looking to fill gaps in their TBR. The prompts were pretty wide open. They could apply to anyone, real or imaginary. And for me, since I mostly read speculative fiction, all the people are going to be imaginary. So this is a recommendation video for speculative fiction books by Black authors that fit into the Heartathon prompts. So the first prompt is to read a book about someone who specializes in education or has been a big proponent of education reform. And for that, I would say The Fifth Season or The Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. When you hear this name, you may think of commentary on how for some societies oppression is a feature, not a fluke. And you may wonder how education fits into this. So in The Stillness, we see an education system specifically for origins, the people who can move the earth with their minds. And this education system is very punitive, and it's not necessarily focused on educating the people it teaches as much as it is focused on making people into useful tools. There's a lot of focus on compliance and getting students to behave. If children can't comply, they're mysteriously disappeared. People's hands are broken as part of the learning process. And Cyanite, one of the main characters, Cyanite's education in orogeny taught her to think in a very rigid way about what are origins capable of and what can they do and what does a competent origin look like. It is a process to get out of that mindset and that cycle, and to think about how to teach orogeny in a way that is different, even though she hates the system that taught her, even though she was so scarred by the system that taught her, that's still the only way that she knows, and she clings to it. So as much as the Broken Earth series is about toppling oppressive societies, it's also about unlearning and breaking cycles and thinking about teaching others in a new way. And so that's why I think it really fit into the prompt. So it wasn't until I reached all the way over to the Broken Earth trilogy that I realized there was actually a far more obvious one to talk about, which is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. Binti is a proponent of education reform, and that in her village, people don't really leave. And they pretty much always stay within the village, and so she's the first one to leave to go to school. And that is like a big thing that causes a big reckoning in terms of like the role of women in her village, in terms of what is considered like acceptable. And she's sort of a pioneer in that regards. And also there's a big change in how the university that she goes to admits students after she arrives. And she was a large broker in that. The next prompt is to read a book with someone who excels in art. And this is another one by N.K. Jemisin. I promise this will be the last N.K. Jemisin book on the recommendation list, but City We Became. It's set in our world, but basically the city of New York develops avatars for each borough that represent the borough's characteristics, and it has a main avatar to represent the city as a whole. And the main avatar is a skilled graffiti artist. He spray paints eyes and mouths all over the city for the city to quicken and to help along with its gestation and its birth. I feel like if your art, it's magic and you can actually materialize the thing that you're painting, then you're pretty good at it. The next prompt is a book about a person who subverts the status quo, and for that I picked She Who Hears All Whispers by Devon Sanders. This is set in a world where a multifaceted disease called the phage powers magic, and this character has been wronged by the most powerful mage in the land, the Empress, and she's determined to overthrow her, and she's determined to do it in her own way, by using magic in a way that no one has before. And then last up is to read a book about someone who excels in technology. And there were, I thought, two possible ones for this prompt that I had read recently: The Heaviness of Knowing by Sherilyn G. Brown, or The Prey of Gods by Nikki Drayden. So The Heaviness of Knowing is about a world where people can commune with aliens in their sleep, and the aliens themselves live in a pretty dystopian society, and one of them sort of finds comfort and solace in her dream connection with this person on Earth, and it's about how they both kind of work in tandem to overthrow this alien government. This one fits because as part of the aliens' directives, they're supposed to be talking with humans in their sleep with the end goal of influencing them to do certain things. And the main character is being influenced to make a computer chip. And then for Prey of Gods by Nikki Drayden, this is sort of a sci-fi fantasy blender about a future South Africa where the gods come back to Earth, basically. And the person here who excels at technology is a robot who becomes sentient at repairing others and sending around codes and viruses and such. And I thought that also applied to the prompt. So those were my recommendations for the Heartathon. What do you think? Do you plan on participating in the Heartathon, or have you started your participation already? If you like the video, please hit the like button. And if you want to stay up to date with me and my bookish activities, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Goodbye.